Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing tonight? I am on later tonight because my daughter and I took the grandkids to. I've got this old scene in the background that I didn't realize was there, so I'm gonna go off camera. So my grandkids and I, or my daughter and I rather, took my grandkids to Park Omega, in the mountains in Quebec, near Montebello, on the way to Mont Tremblant, which is a ski resort. So big mountains. To a place called Park Omega, and we had so much fun. So that's why we're on later tonight, where the animals, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of animals, namely deer, and well, there's wild boar and bears. They have some birds, but typical geese, a turtle, and a raccoon. But for the most part, wolves, coyote, mountain goats, and oh my God, y'all, you buy bags of carrots at the tackle shop, like at the stop when you get your map, you've paid, you're in the gate, and you buy the carrots, long carrots, and there's like 15 at minimum, like deer and everything around your car, like their heads are right in, the horns are big, like massive antlers. And they were so gentle. It's like they're very conditioned, and they're like, you could barely drive because they're all roaming free as you drive through this park. So you have to drive like 3 kilometers an hour. And we had lunch there, and it was so much fun. So I made my daughter, and with Rory, my younger daughter, and Rory's 10 months now, and her stepsister Dallas is off for the summer now. She's going to be 5 in August. And my other daughter's oldest son, Levi, Dallas and Levi just love each other, like love each other. So they had so much fun. No giraffes, but bears, coyotes, wolves, roaming free. Oh, and the pigs, the wild boars were the funniest. Like, just one of them was running around, and I was just thinking, you ever remember that book or show called Charlotte's Web? And you picture the pig, like just a wild boar running around like havoc, like running around the cars and just like being jostling and having fun. It was so fun. So that's why I'm in late today. So how's everybody doing? Let's just say hi to everybody. I got a good lineup of things we want to cover tonight. Hi from Georgia, Sharon. How are you doing, honey? Number 3 says Whispering Wins. Yes, thank you for doing the YouTube things. Tomorrow I'm getting caught up. I have barely unpacked here because after I moved, I pulled a muscle, and then had to go to the other place after being in bed for a week, and then the heat and my dad passing. And anyway, so I got to unpack, and I'm going to load a bunch of videos. I'm going to start uploading more than one video in the day, and then the lives. So, because there's lots of cases to cover, and there's just no way. And I really, lots on Sebastian, Kitty. Here, I've skipped. Well, that ransom thing did you see the video I put out yesterday, or is there more on that than that? So we can cover Sebastian too. So I'll be home here for, I think it's my daughter's birthday this weekend, waiting to hear if she needs me to babysit, what they're doing. But I will be around streaming this weekend. I'm going to do members live on the weekend. I really behind on that. My apologies. I'm going to do members live on the weekend. I think we're going to dive into the astral travel. And I saw another channel that does nothing about psychic stuff talk about astral travel and the CIA today. I don't know if they found the document I found, but we're going to talk about that and learn about that document. And then we're going to get into the 30 days. But I thought it would be really cool if we learned the document and then implemented in the 30 days. So that's why I thought we would do it that way, or do the 30 days and then go back and implement it. Okay, so I think I said hi, Sharon, Donna, welcome in. Say thanks to our mods, Whispering Winds, Hope Floats, Kitty, Marie Curie, Kimmy, how are you today, sweetie? Nice to see you again, as always. Oh, Hope, did I, yeah, I said hi, Hope. Yeah, so what else is going on in Sebastian? I gotta really get caught up. Kieran, Danielle, hello, Krista. Hello, Heather. Truth Seeker, nice to see you. I want to do one on Sebastian for sure as well. And just you know, get up to date with that. Just that. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of crazy, eh? Like, kind of wild that that's what's going on with little Sebastian's case. I mean, I can't imagine being Seth and how devastating it would be. And I hope those people are charged, you know, caught and charged. I think it absolutely needs to be a jailable offense. You do not, well, it is. I mean, you're pretending you've kidnapped somebody, but you're also, that's another level of low when you don't have a child and you're pretending that you do. I mean, that's just another low. Okay, so tonight we're going to get into, it's some more Jack and Lilly. And actually, I was going to go back and do, this is why, another reason I need to do more videos, God willing, with my kids. I love them, but, you know, they call on Nanny and Mummy a lot, which is, I love it. They're very last minute with their schedule. So it makes my life very hard to plan. So, okay, so we are going to, I'm going to read this Global Mail, this newest update 2 days ago. From July 2nd, we'll play this video. There's going to be an ad because it's a paper ad. Let me just play it while it's muted. Oh, there they are. Okay, no problem. Do an update, and then I want to compare tonight. I'm just shocked. I want to talk about this as well. I am getting a little concerned with the RCMP. I'm getting concerned. Nothing super. I know. Well, yeah, but I am getting concerned. Darren, or whatever his name is, was on It's Crime and Shame again tonight, unless they were replaying an old clip, which means if they've talked to him, they obviously are not concerned. We've got absolutely no updates. I'm not sure that this is going to get solved at this point. I'm getting concerned. I'm not going to lie. I'm getting a lot concerned for whether there's going to be ever a discovery, if they're really on top of this case. I'm not, it's not a criticism. I don't know. I'm losing a little bit of faith. So let's listen to the newest update, and then we're going to listen to a few other videos, some very interesting things. And the body language behavioral panel experts, the channel I absolutely love, re-listen to their analysis of Daniel, which was actually quite in lockstep with mine. Well, tonight you'll listen to what they just released a few hours ago about what their thoughts are about Malaya. So listen in. Hang on. I forgot to share. And that's just not right.
In the investigation. There is no update in the investigation for the siblings who were reported missing from Pictou County 2 months ago today. 4-year-old Jack and 6-year-old Lilly Sullivan were reported missing from their home in Lansdowne Station on May 2nd. The last update RCMP provided was on June 11th. At that time, they confirmed they had collected hundreds of hours of footage from the area around their home. Police have also formally interviewed more than 50 people, received almost 500 tips, and conducted extensive search and rescue operations. Since then, the case has been added to Nova Scotia's Major Crimes Rewards program, which offers a $150,000 reward for information that leads to finding the siblings.
Yeah, let's pray, y'all. It's 2 months. 2 days ago, it was 2 months since Jack and Lilly were first reported missing. We're going to listen to Michelle After Darks because she has a clip, some interesting information here. Why am I about the mom, Janie? So let's just listen to this. Hang on a second. For the love. I had a hard time with StreamYard tonight, which is, I had to jump on my other account.
Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Wednesday morning, the 2nd of July. And we're hopping over the big pond to Canada today, to Nova Scotia, to the case of missing siblings, 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan from Lansdowne Station. I've not talked about Jack and Lily's case for a couple of days now. There's been a lot of news this week. The biggest news, I think, is Bryan Kohberger, if anybody's following the quadruple murder of the 4 University of Idaho students from November 2022. Well, the case was due to go to trial in just a month's time. And then Bryan Kohberger came out and wanted to change his plea. So today at 6 p.m. my time, which is 11 a.m. Mountain time, there will be the change of plea hearing.
So by the way, I'm going to do a reading on what I'm going to do a tarot reading tomorrow on why Bryan Kohberger did what he did, because I see a lot of channels, a lot of criticism. It's interesting. I think literally the one of other person I've heard have the same sort of, well, you know, it's better than not guilty, and you never know what a jury's sense is, because I haven't really followed the case that much. I know the basics, but I really don't know the details of the facts. So, but most people are quite appalled at this because it was apparently a slam dunk. And anyways, so there's a lot of comments about, well, that's unfortunate. We'll never know why. I'm not sure that would have come out in trial, but I guess the family wanted to hear more of why. So we're going to do a reading and upload that tomorrow on what motivated Bryan Kohberger. Was it anger because he couldn't get a woman? Was he fascinated with the thrill of the crime? Did he want to see if he could get away with it? What were the reasons? So I'm going to fast forward through this until we get to Jack and Lily.
Well, if you're interested in that case and my opinions on it. All right. So without further ado, Jack and Lily, it's 2 months today since the siblings were last seen. Well, actually, the last independent proof of life we have is the 1st of May. So the afternoon before they were reported missing. They're on surveillance camera, the whole family, Malaya, Daniel, Jack, Lily, and Baby Meadow. They're all on surveillance camera in a town nearby. And then Malaya reported Jack and Lily missing around 10 a.m. on May the 2nd. So it's 2 months today. And we've had precious little in recent weeks from the RCMP. When they update, they only give us little tiny nuggets. They say everything's still on the table. They say they're still
Welcome in, Ren. Nice to see you.
Investigating. It's not a cold case, but they don't give us specifics. The specifics that we know and have been discussing as possible facts are coming from friends and family. So we've had, let's think about it. We've had Daniel's cousin, Logan, coming out talking. We've had Durwood, Darren, who is Malaya's grandma's cousin. So Malaya's first cousin twice removed. So an extended family member who's been speaking to Daniel and Daniel's mother, Janie, who lives in the RV on the property. So she doesn't live in the trailer with Daniel. She lives in this little RV thing with her dog. Janie herself, though, hasn't spoken. We only know what Janie saw and heard, allegedly, via Darren. Interestingly, we've had Jack and Lily's paternal grandmother coming out speaking, someone called Belinda. She did an interview with CBC News, and she's been on the channel It's a Crime and Shame a few times. I went back to listen to this live stream from a few days ago, and there's something in here that I completely missed the first time round. I remember hearing it, but the possible significance of it didn't really register with me at all. So I'm glad I went back to listen to what Belinda had to say again. But there's one thing that I was like, whoa, on this 2 months mark, it's worth circling back and listening to those little things that we missed the first time round. Let's go. All right, so this is concerning Janie and what Belinda heard Janie saying on the 3rd of May, so the day after Lily and Jack were reported missing. Belinda and her sister went to help with the search. Reminder, Belinda is Cody's mother, Cody being the biological father of Jack and Lily. He's not involved at all. But Belinda told Malaya in a bunch of text messages on the 2nd of May, just after they were reported missing, that she'd come. If they weren't found, she'd come on May the 3rd. And she did. And she went a total of 3 times. But this is what she heard from Janie on May the 3rd. So we're going to start off at the 12-minute mark, so very early on in this live stream, and then we're going to hop it all over to late on in the live stream where Belinda brings this topic up again.
There was a policewoman standing there, and the policewoman was talking to them. We couldn't make out what she was saying until we got up closer. And Janie was really crying a lot. And this woman was saying to her, "It's okay, Mom. They're not blaming you. They just want to look in your trailer. They're not blaming you. They just need to make sure that there's nothing in the trailer." And she went on to say that there was nothing in the trailer. She didn't want them around her dog. And the policewoman told her that she was impeding an investigation and she would have to get a search warrant. And then I thought, well, we'll just continue on into the trailer. That was the only thing I found just a little strange, that I was wondering what that was all about.
A little strange? You find that a little strange? That's very kind. Tell me what you would feel if you were Daniel and you wouldn't let the kids inside her trailer on the same property when they're missing. Is that bizarro, y'all? You know my theories in this case. You know my theories in this case. This is new to me. I had not heard this. By the way, put a 1 in the chat. I have yet to go and listen to all It's a Criming Shames chat, the lives. I have, and what I want to do is I want to go back and do live tarot readings. We'll play them. Because y'all, I want to do other cases, but I'm going to do those not on the lives. I know I'm all over the place. You got to laugh. You just got to laugh with me. Laugh with me, please. Because that's why I say you got to just go with me, because I'm all over the place. At least you'll be on a magic carpet ride. You'll never know what day you're coming and what you're getting or what time, you know, but at least you'll know my personality is going to be fairly consistent. So far here is with Donna. So here's the thing. I'm thinking of doing different videos. I might do other lives. Right now, I just want to do a little more Jack and Lilly because I'm invested in this case. So for now, I want to do all the interviews with the parents and all of the family members that have come up on It's a Crime and Shame during a live. And then I want to pull cards and compare what the cards say to the storylines that are being played. I know. Okay, so thank you, Ren. I will do that then for the next few lives. And then we're going to do Sebastian update. And I also want to do, ow, that hurt. You know, when you pull your nail and I ripped my nail at the park today, lifting one of the kids, and it like ripped on the skin. Ow, when it rips so close to your skin bed, your nail bed, that you rip the skin, it rips part that's on the skin. Ugh, sorry. Anyway, so that's what I want to do for now. Keeps you on your toes. That's why you got to click on the notification. And so you know what I'm doing. Anyways, I just think it's quite interesting. This is the first time I hear that Janie did not want a search done of her trailer, which is very interesting.
When I got inside the trailer and after I had hugged Malaya, I mean, I took to crying. Now, I didn't notice because I wasn't watching, but my sister stated that she noticed Malaya wasn't crying at all. She didn't have any tears.
Okay, so Malaya could have been in just complete shock, just could have been, you know, totally numb about the whole thing.
Tesla is finished. Elon has failed. That is what they want you to believe.
You know what? I was having so many problems with StreamYard. I've had to do this before. My apologies. I have to get my account that has ads because StreamYard is just, it wouldn't play on my other account. Okay.
Janie has been Darren's informant. So the stuff that Durwood has been saying, which is really interesting, really thought-provoking, that Janie saw Malaya early in the morning on the driveway. And this would have been shortly after Jack and Lilly were picked up by one of Malaya's friends and taken to an undisclosed location. And it's why Malaya isn't outwardly upset. All right, it's very thought-provoking, and it's still there in the possible box in my brain. Everything is there in the possible box in my brain because I can't discount anything at the moment. I just can't discount anything. And Daniel has been saying stuff that supports Durwood's claims. But here's the thing. Janie did not want the cops searching her trailer, so the little RV. She didn't want them in there because of her dog, because her dog barks. Now, we've heard a bit from various people who've been to the property about the dog. Some say that, yeah, the dog barks, and Durwood says he's like some kind of little Yorkie mix, but he's a bit of a barker.
Okay. This woman is either very cold and cool towards these kids, which I understand are not her biological grandchildren, but they have been in her life for what, 2.5, 3 years, and they were living on the property with her. She seems rather and you're gonna hear another video where someone's communicated with her recently through Facebook, and the energy I pick up, I know it's really interesting. I know. The energy you pick up from her is very cold and matter of fact, and just like she really didn't care for these kids, I don't think. And I've said that before, and that's just the energy I get. And didn't see them and consider them to be her grandkids because they're not, they weren't not like Meadow, I would say. I don't know. It's interesting. It's just very, very interesting. And I'm just learning.
People said, well, he doesn't bought that.
I just keep getting more and more validation because I haven't watched all of the true crime. It's a crime and shame because when I was moving, I just didn't have time. So now we're going to go back and we're going to do it. We're going to listen and we're going to do tarot. So I really don't know. So this is the first I'm hearing of this, but yet I've been saying all along, and to the RCMP, that there's something about Daniel's mom. There's just something about her mom.
If your step grandkids are missing, why don't you just take the dog out of the trailer? I don't know, take the dog for a walk or something while the police are checking your trailer. You don't need to have the dog there stressed out and barking, flipping his lid. Just take him out of the trailer and take him for a walk, or get someone to take him for a walk, or put him in a vehicle while they're searching. It's hardly going to take long to search an RV, is it? It's not like a 10-bedroom mansion, is it? It's an RV. It's not going to take them that long to search it. But she didn't want them in there, and the policewoman said, well, we have to get a search warrant. So they would have searched the RV. They would have. I don't know whether they needed to get a search warrant, but they would have. It just looks...
Are you talking about me, Donna, or are you talking about Michelle? Michelle in the dark I don't think I've ever seen her face. Maybe once. No, but do you believe that? Do you believe that? Do you think the dog who had children on the property, Krista, like, I don't buy the excuse because there were 3 young children living on that property. Do you think the dog would have been that undomesticated with 3 young children around? It doesn't make sense. Yet Daniel's mom kicked her grandchild off the property. Did she? Did she really? Yeah, this whole case is wild, and I'm starting to worry about this case with the RCMP. I don't know what's going on.
Dodgy, and impeding an investigation. But we're going to skip now to the 1 hour 50 mark and listen to what Belinda says here. She circles back to it.
Right away when we pulled up, I had recognized the trailer because we had made many trips to New Glasgow, and I've often seen the trailer. I didn't have a clue that's where Malaya lived. And I feel so bad now because we could have stopped in so many times.
Well, we've heard from Malaya talking to Belinda in text messages that Daniel didn't want Malaya visiting Belinda, taking the children to visit their grandma. And also he didn't want Belinda on his property. Why? Don't know. Was it a sign of a controlling relationship? Possibly. But let's carry on listening.
My sister and I get out.
Wow, I didn't know that either. So Daniel did not want, what did I say, folks? Did I say? I said almost the opposite, though, was that were they afraid to go on Daniel's property? Like a rug dog. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yes, ma'am. You got it. You got it. You see, all I'm saying is I have a theory that I've been pretty consistent with, and I formulated that theory very early on in this case, not like Sebastian at all. And the pieces of information that are floating in are like little pearls linking all of the connecting dots to my theory. If you disagree, please tell me, but I don't think I'm 100% right. But I feel pretty accurate because it's all coming out to be validated. Like there's definitely going to be something I'm wrong on, but it's just this stuff, listening to this now is just like, this is what I said way back in early May.
We start walking to the trailer, and that's where I seen Janie sitting down, and I wish I could remember, but I can't, who the woman was sitting beside her, and there was a policewoman standing up, and they were talking. Pardon me?
Was it the psychic, Belinda?
No, I think the psychic was Cindy.
No,
but it was probably her sister.
She called Janie mum. By the way, there's no echo anymore. Oh, she called. Okay, she called Janie mum because she said, "Mum, it's okay. They're not blaming you."
Okay, so we're back to the woman that Belinda doesn't know the ID of, trying to persuade Janie that it was okay for the cops to search the trailer. Now, we heard that she didn't want them to search the trailer, the RV, because of her dog. But there's another reason.
Not stating that you did anything wrong. It's okay. They just want to look in the trailer so they can rule it out. They just need.
I hear you, Hope, but I could tell you in my opinion, just my opinion, but I would be surprised if most police officers didn't think the same way. Your fucking grandchildren are missing, lady. What the fuck is the matter with you? Sorry, that's just like, that's what would be popping through my brain. Like, welcome in, sweetie pie. Nice to see you. Travel safe, sweetie. I'm just, yeah, I'm not trying to be like, but seriously, like, I'm sorry. I don't care about the fucking dog. Get the dog in the fucking truck. Take the dog for a drive. There's 2 missing kids. I can't believe they didn't get a warrant and go back and search. I just can't believe they didn't get a warrant and go back and search. Or maybe they did, and that's where the rug thing came in and Malaya, I don't know. But just blown away that there's.
And she was going on saying no. She didn't want them to look at some.
Not a justification in hell for that, in my opinion. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but in my opinion, I don't care if you're the neighbor 6 fucking doors down. You're like, you let them in your house unless you got something to hide.
I can't remember what it was. It was a cupboard or something. And she said about her dog.
So what? I remember hearing that, but I didn't. It didn't register. I was concentrating on the dog. But Janie didn't want them to search her RV because of a cupboard. She didn't want them looking in a cupboard. Okay, so is it a small cupboard? Is it a big cupboard? Is it a cupboard big enough to put 2 little kids in? Do you see where I'm going with this?
Remember the box I talked about? Well, that's a very interesting statement.
That Janie's being Durwood's informant, blaming Malaya. Well, what if that was a ruse? You know, it reminds me of, remember the 2 Springer Spaniels in the Madeleine McCann case? I think it was Eddie that was a human remains dog. Keela was the bulldog, I think. Alerting on the cupboard in the apartment. No, the thing here, in this case, they've never brought in cadaver dogs. It's not necessarily about cadaver dogs searching the woods. It's about running a cadaver dog through the property. Because there might not be any signs of blood or human tissue or anything like that. But if Jack and Lilly had died for whatever reason, and maybe their bodies were put in a cupboard for a...
Welcome in. I'm not sure, Lola. If you're new here, if you are, welcome in. And if you're not, and you're just quiet in the sidelines, my apologies. But absolutely, like, why wouldn't they go back? Maybe they did go back with a warrant, but something was cleared out or cleaned out or something. But it's just, yeah. No kidding. The world is just a wild place, it's just like, I don't know. I could tell you, well, you probably don't need me to, you probably can tell from my personality, man. I'd be kicking the door down. If I was Daniel, it'd be like, I'd be getting my baseball bat and telling my mother to move the fuck out of the way. Like, unless there was something in there that Daniel knew she needed to keep from the police. Now, maybe it was rugs and not kids, but nonetheless, it's really suspect. And I can't imagine. I think in the case of 2 missing kids, that would warrant impediment of an investigation, which is, I think, an arrestable offense, if I'm not wrong. I don't know. Should I Google? Is impeding an investigation? By refusing entry. Yes, refusing entry to law enforcement during an investigation, if it hinders their lawful duties, can lead to criminal charges, specifically for obstructing a peace officer. This is outlined in section 129A of the Canadian Criminal Code. So why? I don't get it that she wouldn't let them in. I
short
don't get
space
it.
of time before they could decide what to do with them. Do you see where I'm going with this? Why did she not want them looking in the cupboard? Or is it completely innocent? Does she have some, like, I don't know, substances in there or something? I don't know whether she takes substances. I'm sure that cupboard was searched. So I don't think Jack and Lilly are in the cupboard. But what if they'd been in the cupboard? Look, I'm going to leave it there. But I'm just highlighting that there's a cupboard involved in Janie's reluctance to let them search her RV. It's not all about her dog. What do you think?
That's a good point. It wasn't just about the dogs. If she doesn't want a cupboard searched, what was in the cupboard, y'all? What was in the cupboard? Now listen to this. Right after. Yeah, and she's very quiet. And I just tell me the vibes you get off this, because I pick up Janie's vibes. And I just don't think she really gave two hoots about these kids. I don't think she cares that they're missing. And I just have my questions.
So I have an update from last night. I spoke to Janie myself on Facebook Messenger. It was her because I checked the profile. And I don't want to be too pushy or bother anybody, but I had some questions that I wanted to ask her as I am trying to figure out the timeline, and also if Durwood, aka Darren, was telling the truth. Now, I asked her if she believed Janie, do you trust Darren or do you, so he could speak?
So she's asking Daniel's mother, think back to my theory. She's asking Daniel's mother, this is a channel, let me just give credit to her, I forgot to. Daphne's Case Files. I've listened to a few of her videos lately and I like her. I was going to play some, maybe I'll play a couple others before we play the final video that I really want to show. But so she messages Daniel's mother, Janie, through Facebook and asks her, because she's trying to track down the timeline. So let me just rewind it again for context and we'll.
Last night, I spoke to Janie myself on Facebook Messenger. It was her because I checked the profile, and I don't want to be too pushy or bother anybody, but I had some questions that I wanted to ask her as I am trying to figure out the timeline, and also if Durwood, aka Darren, was telling the truth. Now, I asked her if she believed Janie, do you trust Darren or do you, so he could speak for her, or is he making stuff up? And she replied earlier, I guess somebody had asked the same question, saying that she does. And then she says, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be on here. And then she says, he opened my eyes. So she is telling me that she does believe what he is saying and he is speaking for her. Now, the other question is, I asked her if she had sent Belinda the timeline, because I know Belinda was counting on the timeline of when Jack and Lilly went missing. And she replied, she's the grandmother. Why not? You can see that in the bottom there.
So this is where, I don't know if it's the way this woman reads her text. It's the energy I pick up. I'm like, I just feel like that this is just she's the grandmother. Why not? Like, I don't really care. Go for it. Like, what do I care? I don't really care about these kids. I want nothing to do with these kids. That's just the vibe I'm picking up. That's just the vibe I'm picking up. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if a car is stopped for speeding, then they think there might be rugs, then they bring out the dog sniffers. Well, I don't think when there's, hey, Laura, nice, welcome in, sweetie. I don't think, I really don't think there would be, let's put it into chat. Let's listen to this video, and then I'm going to go through chat. I'm going to tell the situation to chat. And we're going to see what normal police agents would do based on chat's research in that scenario. So let's just finish the video first. It's only another 2 minutes long.
Now, I don't know if she has sent it or maybe is going to send it. I don't know, but she says, why not? I know Belinda did the live show. Belinda is the bio grandmother for Jack and Lilly. Now I know she did the live show on Sunny's YouTube channel a few days ago, and I know she was wanting to connect with Janie on the timeline. And I also want to say something else. Hold on. Now I have another message from Janie. She is saying that she has not been able to see any of her grandchildren at all. At all. She even had her granddaughter's 9th birthday the other day and was not able to see her 9-year-old grandchild. Also, she hasn't seen any of them but one. So I'm thinking maybe Justin, her son, has a...
Why is she not been allowed to see her grandkids? This is an interesting twist.
Child, I don't know. I don't want to get into that. But for on Daniel's side, for Daniel's children, she hasn't been able to see Meadow. Never seen Meadow yet. Nope. And she hasn't seen Daniel's other children with his ex-girlfriend or ex-wife. So if she's not involved, it's very sad that she's not able to see her grandchildren. But I think, this timeline is very important. And if she is definitely backing up what Darren has said, then something is wrong there.
So she is backing up what Darren has said. So let's make sense of this. Darren's been getting his information from her by his own admission. So I don't know if this YouTuber is not in the know, but seems to me she's got things kind of backwards. Darren's been feeding information, Darren Geddes, Durwood, whatever his name is, who really knows even if it's Darren, has been feeding information to It's a Crime and Shame, and by his own admission in some of those clips, has been getting that information from Janie herself. So yeah, of course Janie's going to believe everything he said, but he opened my eyes up to things is also a very curious statement. So they're definitely on the same side of the fence, which is also consistent with my theory.
Darren is saying that Janie heard Malaya out by the road with the kids at 6:18 when Malaya called the school. And then Daniel messaged me saying, no, it was at 8:38.
Yep.
Well, I thought you said that you guys were sleeping at 8:38. So see where I'm getting. It is so confusing that we're not able to get a straight answer. And right now I'm speaking to someone who has done a timeline, and we still have so many holes in the timeline because we're not getting straight answers, or it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, the last reading I did, the first card to pop out regarding Durwood were timeline issues.
So hopefully somebody will come forward and be honest and say where Lily and Jack is. That's all it takes is one adult to be brave and tell the authorities what actually happened. I want to thank you guys for watching.
Okay, let's go listen to one more of hers because I like her stuff. She does short little videos. But and then we're gonna go. I'm very curious because I want you to remember this. Actually, maybe I'll just go. I want you to remember this. Durwood is firmly on Daniel's side and in Daniel's camp. Janie is now confirming Durwood statements. Durwood has said he's getting the statements from Janie. From Janie, not Jamie, rather Janie. Daniel went from being stop bothering Malaya, she's going to have anxiety, leave her alone, to Malaya is not a good mother, I was the one watching the kids. Daniel's totally flipped his story, his position regarding Malaya. Well, this is just it. That's what I want to research. Like, I really don't think search warrant was, I just don't get this. Like, I'm hoping that we're just not hearing that the RCMP said, move out of the way, effer, we're coming in. Like, there's 2 missing kids. I just don't get it. Let's consult chat GDP about that. GTP. I have the hardest time. I'm just going to call it chat. Tongue twister for me. And see what they have to say, what the likely scenario should have been in response to this. But yeah, I want to just, before we go into the behavior panel's analysis of Malaya, they don't think she's involved, by the way. They don't consider her guilty. Now, interestingly, in her statement, they see no evidence of her guilt, which is also what I have been saying. I think I'm probably one of the only people who doesn't think Malaya has anything to do with it. That's just what I've been getting through the cards and just my intuition and just not feeling she's involved. I'm hunkering down double time on my theory because it's just keeps getting substantiated. And I'm finding it fascinating. I wanted to compare the behavior panel to It's a Crime and Shame because they also had a behavior analyst come on and analyze the same interview because Malaya's only given one interview. And she doesn't like Malaya. She sees her completely differently than the behavior panel. But here's the thing. The behavior panel are the 4, not one person's opinion, 4 on a panel who are all consistent that they don't think she's involved. Although one of them's a little unsure of some of her statements, he, at the end of the day, does not think she's been directly involved. She may have some knowledge, but not directly involved. And versus this lady who is not world renowned, that behavior panel, they're world, why am I having a hard time talking today? World renowned. All 4 of them. In fact, when I want to study behavior, body language, behavior analysis, I'm going to be studying under these guys, man. They work with the best of the best of the best. So I was like, I don't want to confuse one woman's opinion against the 4 leading people, in my opinion, in the world, because I just don't think she's valid in that she can't be. They're completely opposite positions. So if you want to go listen to that, It's a Crime and Shame. We probably will eventually, but it went live earlier today. I just don't get how she can be that different from these guys. I don't know. I thought behavior, body language was a little bit, more consistent than that, but maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. So let's just listen to this last clip here, and then we're going to go listen to the behavior panel's analysis. It's about an hour.
So last night, Derwood was back on It's a Crime and Shame, and he was spouting off about the whole 6 o'clock phone call Janie got. And as I'm going to show you, it says Janie was up at 6, and then yet she got a phone call by her brother at 8 something. And then Daniel also saying she got a phone call from her brother at 8 something. You know what, guys? Let's use common sense here. These people are lying, in my opinion. If they weren't lying, why would it be so damn hard to come forward and give a straight timeline or share the timeline with Grandma Belinda?
Well, I could tell you I am intuitively good because of sales, my intuition, years in sales. And also when you come from a childhood where there's a lot of abuse, it's a survival mechanism because my dad was very Jekyll and Hyde. And so you're always sort of wondering what shoe's going to drop. And if you say this, and my mom was, cold in her own right. So you're always looking at facial tics and movements and body language to see if you're safe, what environment you're in, what you can and cannot get away with. You're always analyzing. So I think that's one of the strongest, positions to be in, not for anything positive other than the experience of that in being really good at reading body language.
Why? Let's ask ourselves that. And yeah, I'm a little upset about this because you have 4 adults on the property and one that keeps changing his story. The mom, who is the property owner, she is the deed holder. She won't come forward and say anything at all, except for a few vague messages on Facebook Messenger. And then you got the mom, she's MIA. Who the hell knows where she's at? But one thing we know for sure is that Jack and Lilly are still missing. There is still no updates. RCMP thinks that they were not abducted. They think that they were in the woods. So what is this telling us, guys? What is going on with the driveway thing? What were you doing at night?
How can the RCMP still think this is not something nefarious? I can't imagine they have not shifted into this as nefarious.
Right. Filling potholes or smoothing out lines or covering up something. I want to know. In my opinion, something that wasn't good, definitely not good. What do you guys think? I'm going to show you these clips.
It's the exact timeline of everything, right down to the minute. It started at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
There's Janie. Katie to Cameron. The timeline is I talked to my brother at 8:48 and we talked for 2 minutes, 59 seconds, and the kids after that. Janie as up since 6 that morning. So what was the conversation? I feel like I'm in a Karen Reed trial with a mysterious phone call at the time that something tragic happened at 8:48, just allegedly. Just, it feels, I wonder what that phone call was about.
Janie's brother Ron called her at 6 o'clock in the morning. Janie was sleeping and she missed the call, but she heard the phone ring. She called Ron back at roughly 6:10 or 6:15. I think it was 6:10. She called Ron back. So that was the earliest Janie was up and stirring around. But it was quite a while after that, as far as I understand, that Janie never went back to sleep. She dozed off again or whatever. Now clarify this with Janie when she talks, because she's going to talk. She's talking, and she'll say what she wants to say, and she has no problem correcting me or anybody else, and that's fine, because that's what I want. So Janie will tell you exactly what time she heard Malaya and the kids come out the back door. She will tell you exactly how she heard Lily and Jack and her dog got excited, and she will tell you exactly the time. She will tell you exactly the time she went up to the driveway. And if you wanted, if somebody, well, I would advise people to go in there now for her to show them physically, because she did when she started trusting me. She showed me physically twice, just everything that happened, right from the boot print of the soft gravel that she just filled the hole with, right to everything. And God bless her, man. If you ever heard anybody tell the truth, it's Janie McCann. And by the way, I've seen comments on there that even people are saying Janie's a liar. Well, boys, anybody that says Janie McKenzie's a liar is a complete idiot. And that's what I got to say about that one. And this is all in her statement directly to the RCMP. Sworn.
Now I want you guys to listen to this next clip and tell me what you think about this. This is a very odd statement that Durwood makes about Daniel and how would he have had time to do what he did, yada, yada, yada. Let me know what you think below.
I know the truth. I didn't kill Lily and Jack.
But that's speculation, because that other 1%, I really won't say that. And I'm just sure, to the point of one thing that I'm sure, and I said 1,000% before, is those children were alive on May the 2nd around 8:45 in the morning on May the 2nd. And I said that right from the start, and that's what started the investigating. Okay, if they were alive around that time of the morning on May the 2nd, well, Daniel certainly never killed them between then and the last day, Monday, before they went to school. And the only way he could have killed them was right in front of his mother and his woman and his baby in the driveway. So there's no murder. This is all blown up from a little scared girl trying to get her kids and sneak away. And that's all.
So they're all turning on Malaya now, right? All Daniel's camp, including Durwood. What a fun relative you are, Durwood. Wouldn't want you in my family.
Because the Mounties didn't believe Daniel's testimony first, and Daniel was half lying first too. No wonder
like he was.
But they never even considered Janie's testimony the most truthful person out of it all. They never even looked that way. They got all excited. They thought they had a big child murder case, and the arrogant, incompetent.
Now, what do you guys think? I want to hear your comments below, and make sure, please, to like, share, and
okay. We'll see how we're doing for time, Krista. I think she's afraid. I don't know. That's just my opinion, but I could be wrong. Ren. Okay, let's listen to the behavior panels. I just lost the... hang on. I just lost the video. Where'd it go? Jeez. So much for having it already. So let's go first, since I can't pull up the behavior panel without taking a second to find it, because I just lost the link. I want to show you. Whoa. It's like bright on my eyes. I want to show you what I found. I'm tired today, so I'm off screen because I just look like heck warmed over. Tired. This is what the chat GTP said. I asked, let me go to the top, that this rumor that Danielle Martel's mom would not let RCMP into her trailer on the day Jack and Lilly Sullivan went missing. Please do an analysis as a police officer would of this situation, knowing she lives on the same property as Jack and Lilly and yet would not let them search her RV when the kids went missing on May 2nd. If I were a police officer analyzing the situation from a law enforcement and investigative standpoint, here's what how I would break it down. Dated disappearance May 2nd. Persons missing Jack and Lilly Sullivan. Individual of interest Janie Danielle Martel, mother of Danielle Martel, lives on the same property as the missing kids. Key behavior: refused RCMP entry into her trailer on the day the children went missing. Initial observation and concerns: refusal of search, refusing a search of a private residence, especially during an active missing child case, is highly suspicious. In any missing persons case, time is critical. The first 24 to 48 hours are when locating evidence, scent trails, or potential witnesses is the most effective. Someone refusing access in such a crucial window, particularly when they live on the same property as the missing kids, can suggest concealment of evidence. Can y'all see this? Concealment of evidence, or a minimum obstruction of lawful investigation, consciousness of guilt, involvement in the crime, or knowledge of it. This refusal is not typical unless the person is hiding something or is extremely paranoid about the law enforcement. Even someone with past trauma or distrust of police would likely comply if two children they knew went missing. Relationship proximity. She's not a random neighbor. She lives on the same property. Depending on the layout, the RV near that main house or trailer can offer opportunity for access even in a short window. This also means she may have had ongoing contact or awareness of Jack and Lily's routines. She may have seen or heard something. If she had nothing to hide, a refusal seems irrational under the pressure of two missing children in the immediate area. 3, potential motivations. Law enforcement would now explore: what is she hiding? Something about the kids, something else hiding in the RV, drug use, illegal items, or individuals she didn't want discovered. Was she protecting someone else, her son Daniel or another relative, a known associate who may have had a motive or opportunity? Search warrant justification. Her refusal would trigger immediate pursuit of a search warrant. Well, do you think that happened? Wow. I'm having a sip of wine. I'm drinking the same wine I started days ago. I think this is the last glass. Such a lightweight. That is crazy. Her refusal would trigger immediate pursuit of a search warrant if there's any probable cause. Probable cause could include this geographic proximity to the last known location of the kids, any tips, eyewitness statements, or timeline inconsistencies, prior criminal history, hers or a resident, odd behavior observed by RCMP or neighbors. If officers did not seek a warrant at that point, it could be seen as a critical failure in protocol unless they were trying to build more evidence first. Wow. If officers did not seek a search warrant at that point, it could be seen as critical failure. Y'all, here, do you think, I have a hard time believing that the RCMP are very good at what they do. I'm losing a little bit of hope because I still hear Derwin out on the lives. And just because of what I believe, but doesn't mean I'm right. However, we haven't heard much of them. The kids are clearly not in the back of the woods right now. The body language experts we are going to hear do not believe Malaya is involved directly. They think Daniel may have stronger knowledge than Malaya, which I also believe, but they don't believe he's guilty. The police haven't made arrests yet. They haven't found the kids. What the TF are they doing? Everybody's had, well, all the relevant people have had polygraphs. Like, I just don't they're really good at what they do. I don't know if that division is really good at what they do, but the RCMP in this country have a very good reputation for this stuff. So let's just, if they did get a search warrant, if you think they did, I'm going to go, I think they did. I think they got a search warrant, and I think that's exactly why Janie's not allowed to see her grandkids, because I bet you they found a bunch of rugs on the property. What do you think? Put a 1 in the chat if you think the RCMP did go and get a search warrant, or a 2 if you don't think they searched Janie's trailer. 1 if you think they searched Janie's trailer. A 2 if you think they didn't search Janie's trailer. What do y'all think? I think it was just after, Ren. I think it was just after. So you think they searched? Everybody so far is a 1 thinks they searched. Anybody else? Come on, guys. 69 of you in the chat. Please do all the YouTube things. Thumbs up. Thank you. We got a 1 from Krista. Donna thinks absolutely 1. So we're thinking we have confidence in the RCMP. There's no way they missed anything, right? So if that's the case, they have come out publicly and said, welcome in, Lily. They've come out and said that they have absolutely no evidence of anything criminal, that there's nothing nefarious. They have no evidence of it, just like in Sebastian's case. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. They just don't have evidence of it. So if they went into her trailer, I'm going to go on a very strong hypothesis that if they did, the reason she can't see her kids is because of drugs or something illegal, not necessarily leading to Jack and Lily. Otherwise, we would have heard of an arrest. So that's very interesting. The hypothetical law enforcement interpretation: as a seasoned investigator, I would view Janie's behavior as a red flag. It doesn't confirm guilt, but it raises the following questions I would want to ask or dig deeper into. Why didn't I access unless there is something to hide? Did anybody see her interacting with Jack and Lily that day? What her son's Daniel's connection to the children or the family? Has Janie made inconsistent statements? Is there any surveillance, dash cam, or ring footage in the area? Has she moved, cleaned, or altered the RV since the refusal? I think she's left the property. I don't know for sure. I know Daniel wasn't referring to her when he said as we've gone from 7 to 1, but I just don't hear of her, and I just wonder where she is. And I wouldn't be surprised if she's not on the property. I don't know why. It's just a feeling I get. Doesn't mean it's true. It's just a feeling I get. What is her criminal history, if any? Are there any past CPS child protection concerns tied to her or her son? Well, we're hearing rumors that CPS was involved in the months prior to this. That's also very consistent with what we heard with Sebastian Rogers. We also have the mother saying they might be autistic. We also hear the behavior panel, when they analyzed Daniel's statements, said that they thought there could be some specialized cognitive behavior. I don't know the exact term right at this moment. My apologies, but essentially that he could have some mild autism as well. So I'm going to run with the autistic theory, which is also consistent with Sebastian. So just interesting. Possible next steps for police if they haven't done already: secure a search warrant retroactively if not done already, interview neighbors, family members, and children's school contacts. Well, we know they did that. Conduct a full forensic search of the RV and property. I don't know if they broke into that RV or didn't break in, you know what I mean, got in through warrant, forced their way in since she wouldn't let them in legally. Did they re-interview Janie with specific contradictions in her timeline or knowledge? We don't know that, but we do know that she would have been interviewed. Run cadaver dogs or search dogs through her RV or vehicle. We don't know if they did. I know the search dogs are on the property, but were there cadaver dogs? I doubt it. Investigation whether she and her son left the area or made any suspicious purchases before or after May 2nd. Final assessment: behaviorally and procedurally, refusing a search during a child abduction case, especially when living on the same property, is an immediate red flag. This would heighten Janie Daniel Martel's profile as a person of interest and a warrant further investigation of her RV, her son, her timeline, and her past. Wow. So I'm going to toot my own horn. I don't usually do that. But, I kind of lost my shit the other day. I have barely eaten. Today's the first day I feel really rested over losing my dad and the move from HELL and other things I'm not even going to get into. Y'all, like, my mother's come out of the woodwork, caused a little bit of drama for a couple days. But that's okay. But all that to say, I'm going to toot my horn a little bit because I really haven't had time, because of everything that I've just, talked about, to get myself familiar with all these interviews. And on the other night, I kind of lost my patience with that guy that was like, stop wasting the police's time. And I was like, F you, man. Like, they've asked me to do these things. I'm sorry. I apologize for really losing my shit. That guy just really freaking irked me in that particular moment because I was tired and everything else. And I hate trolls. But I can tell you right now, I don't feel like I've wasted their time, because every single thing I have told them is coming out now, a month later, like a month and a half later. I know, sweetie, but I was just like, oh no, back off me, Mom. I just don't feel like I've wasted their time, because I actually feel pretty validated with what I've been saying in this case, and what's coming up. What's been coming out. So let me pull up the behavioral panel now. And I don't know why I couldn't get StreamYard to go on the other channel. So I'm going to have to, it's been a problem a few times now. So I have to use StreamYard off my, instead of my true crime YouTube channel, off my personal channel, which I don't have the YouTube premium for. So then we have to listen to commercials. And I'm not really sure why that's happening, because StreamYard is not connected to that account. It's connected to my true crime account. So it's very strange, but it's StreamYard. So welcome to the world of StreamYard. So I just may have to do some fanaticking around all this, so we don't have to continue to watch commercials, especially when I exactly pay for that service, so we don't have to watch the commercials. Sorry, y'all. Okay.
Today we're going to talk about Malia Brooks Murray. She's the partner of Daniel Martell, and their children are missing. Greg, tell us about the videos we're going to watch.
Yeah, I believe they're stepchildren of Daniel Martell, but this is Lily and Jack Sullivan who are missing. This is their mother. She did one interview, and this is that interview. Very short. We're going to cut it into a couple of clips, and you can see what she had to say about the disappearance of her children.
I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them, and I want them home. What happened was we woke up. I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep. And they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. And they happened to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet. And we get up, and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, "Do you hear the kids?" And he says, "No." And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911. I just had the instinct I needed to call.
Do not mix these ingredients if you don't want to lose your pants in 15 days.
Right.
Greg, what do you got?
So it's not the first time I've seen these videos, but first time I've spent any real time with them. I spent some time with Sadie on her channel, just quick looking and hip shooting. We don't control the questions in these conversations. So what we're doing is secondhand looking. So we have to look very carefully. So I took the approach to say, in interrogation, I typically spend about twice as long prepping as I do interrogating. And I spent about 10 minutes with each of these clips, this one today. This is an interesting one, because if you just at the surface take it, it looks like a woman who's telling you her story, where she's feeling like, hey, it's a bad situation. I'm sad. There's some grief muscle. There's some downright good eye accessing cues that tell us emotion, but there's something weird going on here. Did any of you guys notice the word "and"? Just quickly. Did you happen to count the numbers of ands? So in the first 10 seconds, there's one and. I miss them and I want them home. Okay, that's perfect. In the next 50 seconds are 9 ands. Nine. Might mean nothing, but it might also mean these are things I need to deliver in my story. So it immediately puts me on notice to pay really close attention to how many times she says "and" here, and then watch every other clip that comes up and say, is that baseline for her? Because she's from Nova Scotia. She's from a narrow little band of areas. And so I wonder about speech patterns and use of conjunctions and, as I would say, and. This is a lot of and. The cadence is odd. She shifts gears when she goes from talking about missing the children to talking about what happened to that and boom, 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 boom. There's a cadence. If I heard this on a 911 call, I would be concerned that somebody's giving me a story. And maybe that's what she came here to do, is to give us a story, because people who are marginalized and deal with law enforcement may have a different opinion. If she's been talking to protective services, she may have a story planned. So there's all kinds of reasons she could do it, but there's a lot of conditioning in here too. She tells a story and her detail is conditioned at every turn. I heard them playing, but I was drifting in and out of sleep. Not the kind of kids who go outside and we tell them not to go outside. Happen to get out the sliding door, we can't hear it when it opens. That's a lot of conditioning, instead of just saying, hey, we didn't hear them go out the door. They must have gone out when we were sleeping, something like that. So it doesn't mean that she's done anything. It means that I've got areas of focus. I want to turn over that rock and go after her. And this is in 1 minute of a clip. There's lots of tense change. I'm going to leave that to Chase, because Chase is usually on top of the tense change thing. She goes to real time, to current, to present tense when she's talking about going outside and looking for the children, and everything else is in past tense. Not her children. They're not in past tense. It's not what I'm talking about. And then the most pregnant thing I see in this entire thing, meaning I wanted to really dig in and pay attention to it, is she says they were outside playing. It's the only time we see her brow rise. So it's, for me, I'm not saying there's anything really, really brutal here that is telling me she did something to these children, and maybe she didn't do something. Maybe she knows something that she's not saying. But there's a whole lot of bizarre shift of gears from I miss my children to the and storytelling. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, I agree. So I want them home and I want them home. That's the first and that we get. I think that and, just like you, I think that and is totally fine because it's just she's run out of ideas and she's reinforcing the main idea, which is I want them home. This suggests she has a feeling that they can come home. So that's important.
I thought that was very interesting. This suggests that she has a feeling that they can come home. Very interesting.
I want them home. There is a bitter taste in the mouth and lots of flexing in the throat. I think trying to control the tension in the throat there. Bitter taste could be disdain. I'll come back to why it might be disdain for I want them home. Yeah, I agree, Greg. I didn't count the ands, but there were enough in that storytelling, enough to make me go, there's something important with these ands. It doesn't feel to me like she's trying to hide time, though.
No, not at all.
No. So we've got to go, so what else might these ands be about? And I think you're right, it's conditioning. So what is she conditioning? I think it's all about the justification of we're not bad parents. And I think if you look at that story.
That's exactly what I said. That she was nervous because she would have looked bad. And I said that at least once, I remember. And so I found this very validating. I watched this just an hour before we came live here tonight. That Mark is saying the same thing, that there is a bit of it. And they continue to talk about this theme amongst many other things in this video. But there's a theme here about her feeling like she has let these kids down as her responsibilities as in motherhood. And there's a little bit of that they're picking up on. And I've already said that. So I find that very interesting. Also, stay tuned and watch. We're going to stop the video with her hair up. That video at the beach, we all were debating whether or not that was current or not. And everybody was like, her hair's short in this interview. I'm going to show you what I discovered when you look at this interview. No, her hair is not short. Her hair is up in a messy bun and it's layered, and you can see it's much longer actually when you look at it from one angle at the back. So it's just a few things interesting that I noticed in this video today.
There'll be, this was happening, and here's a justification for it's reasonable that we didn't hear them. It's reasonable that they're outside playing. It's reasonable because I think that if it is disdain, the disdain is around
absolutely
how other people will see her as a parent.
Come on, everybody, do the likies, please.
And that's the problem.
It's free. It helps get Jack and Lily's name out there. Please do the like. It helps the algorithm, and we want to get their face out there. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's a free service.
You know, you have these kids, you know, you care for them, or society's idea is you care for them. So society's main idea is you don't lose those things, okay? And so I think there's a strong fear this will be looked upon badly. Now, but it doesn't seem to me in this storytelling to be at a narcissistic level about this is all about me. I think there is the tension between I want my kids back, and it looks really bad that I've lost my kids. And the societal pressure of that. So there's two pressures going on. Where are my kids? I want my kids back. And even just being on camera saying this looks so bad. Looks so bad. And at the same time, I need to, and I mean, for me to say out loud that you know, anybody would be worried about how it looks to other people. Of course they'd be worried about how it looks to other people. And you want your kids back. There's so many conflicting things going on here.
The mainstream media is not broken at all. It is functioning exactly.
I'm just going to skip through his
ground news poll
ad here.
You know, I always talk about let's look for what's.
Come on, come on, come on.
Brooks Murray, she's the partner of Daniel Martell, and their children are missing. Greg, tell us about the videos we're going to watch.
Yeah, I believe they're stepchildren of Daniel Martel, but this is Lily and Jack Sullivan who are missing. This is their mother.
Krista, are you talking to me? Are you okay? Are you talking to somebody in the chat?
She did one interview, and this is that interview. Very short. We're going to cut it into a couple of clips, and you can see what she had to say about the disappearance.
For what's missing, they do that.
Hang on, you want to listen to this whole thing? Is that what you're saying? You want to listen to this thing that he's talking about, sweetie? Is that what you're saying? You got to be specific for me. Like the ad or before that? I don't know what you mean. Where you want me to rewind?
Anybody would be worried about how it looks to other.
I used to pay Midjourney monthly. Now I use this AI for a one-time cost and unlimited designs for.
You keep pulling up ads.
The media is not here to tell you the truth. It's here to shape your truth without you even realizing it. Every network, every outlet, left or right or center, they are all playing the exact same game. Keep you emotionally hijacked, cognitively blind, and addicted to narratives engineered by people who have zero interest in informing you at all. So they manufacture a bunch of division. They amplify lies and they bury stories that threaten their control. This is not journalism. This is mass psychological warfare. This is why we use ground news. It is not just a news app.
Yeah, I got to fast forward, Krista. I don't know where you wanted me to rewind to, sweetie. But I don't want to play this again.
Going on.
Today, we're going to talk about Malia Brooks Murray. She's the partner of Daniel Martel, and their children are missing. Greg, tell us about the videos we're going to watch.
Yeah, I believe they're stepchildren of Daniel Martel, but this is Lily and Jack Sullivan who are missing. This is their mother. She did one interview.
No worries,
and this
Krista.
Is that interview.
No worries,
very short.
honey.
We're going to cut it into a couple of clips, and you can see what she had to say about the disappearance of her children.
Some of the brilliant minds
for the love of God. I like Chase too. He's my favorite of all of them.
I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home. What happened was we woke up. I heard them playing in the next room beside us. And I was drifting in and out of sleep. And they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. And they happened to just get out that sliding door and we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet, and we get up and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911. I just had the instinct I needed to call.
All right, Greg, what do you got?
So it's not the first time I've seen these videos, but first time I've spent any real time with them. I spent some time with Sadie on her channel, just quick looking and hip shooting. We don't control the questions in these conversations. So what we're doing is secondhand looking. So we have to look very carefully. So I took the approach to say, in interrogation, I typically spend about 10 or.
Yeah, but I think he came out and said, Krista, that he's had some holistic remedy that he said on one of the panels that has completely saved his life. Like, yeah.
About twice as long prepping as I do interrogating. And I spent about 10 minutes with each of these clips, this one today. This is an interesting one because if you just at the surface take it, it looks like a woman who's telling you her story where she's feeling like, hey, it's a bad situation. I'm sad. There's some grief muscle. There's some downright good eye accessing cues that tell us emotion, but there's something weird going on here. Did any of you guys notice the word and? Just quickly. Did you happen to count the numbers of ands? So in the first 10 seconds, there's one and. I miss them and I want them home. Okay, that's perfect. In the next 50 seconds are 9 ands. Nine. Might mean nothing, but it might also mean these are things I need to deliver in my story. So it immediately puts me on notice to pay really close attention to how many times she says and here, and then watch every other clip that comes up and say, is that baseline for her? Because she's from Nova Scotia. She's from a narrow little band of areas. And so I wonder about speech patterns and use of conjunctions and, as I always say, and. This is a lot of and. The cadence is odd. She shifts gears when she goes from talking about missing the children to talking about what happened to that and boom, 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 boom. There's a cadence. If I heard this on a 911 call, I would be concerned that somebody's giving me a story. And maybe that's what she came here to do, is to give us a story, because people who are marginalized and deal with law enforcement may have a different opinion. If she's been talking to protective services, she may have a story planned. So there's all kinds of reasons she could do it, but there's a lot of conditioning in here too. She tells a story and her detail is conditioned at every turn. I heard them playing, but I was drifting in and out of sleep. Not the kind of kids who go outside and we tell them not to go outside. Happen to get out the sliding door we can't hear it when it opens. That's a lot of conditioning instead of just saying, hey, we didn't hear them go out the door. They must have gone out and we were sleeping, something like that. So it doesn't mean that she's done anything. It means that I've got areas of focus. I want to turn over that rock and go after her. And this is in 1 minute of a clip. There's lots of tense change. I'm going to leave that to Chase because Chase is usually on top of the tense change thing. She goes to real time, to current, to present tense when she's talking about going outside and looking for the children, and everything else is in past tense. Not her children. They're not in past tense. It's not what I'm talking about. And then the most pregnant thing I see in this entire thing, meaning I wanted to really dig in and pay attention to it, is she says they were outside playing. It's the only time we see her brow rise. So it's, for me, I'm not saying there's anything really, really brutal here that is telling me she did something to these children, and maybe she didn't do something. Maybe she knows something that she's not saying, but there's a whole lot of bizarre shift of gears from I miss my children to the and storytelling. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, I agree. So I want them home and I want them home. That's the first and that we get. I think that and, just like you, I think that and is totally fine because it's just she's run out of ideas and she's reinforcing the main idea, which is I want them home. This suggests she has a feeling that they can come home. So that's important. I want them home. There is a bitter taste in the mouth and lots of flexing in the throat. I think trying to control the tension in the throat there. Bitter taste could be disdain. I'll come back to why it might be disdain for I want them home. Yeah, I agree, Greg. I didn't count the ands, but there were enough in that storytelling, enough to make me go, there's something important with these ands. It doesn't feel to me like she's trying to hide time, though.
No, not at all.
No. So we've got to go, so what else might these ands be about? And I think you're right, it's conditioning. So what is she conditioning? I think it's all about the justification of we're not bad parents. And I think if you look at that story, there'll be this was happening, and here's a justification for it's reasonable that we didn't hear them. It's reasonable that they're outside playing. It's reasonable because I think that if it is disdain, the disdain is around how other people will see her as a parent because she's lost her kids, and that's a problem. You know, you have these kids, you know, you care for them, or society's idea is you care for them. So society's main idea is you don't lose those things, okay? And so I think there's a strong fear this will be looked upon badly. Now, but it doesn't seem to me in this storytelling to be at a narcissistic level about this is all about me. I think there is the tension between I want my kids back, and it looks really bad that I've lost my kids, and the societal pressure of that. So there's two pressures going on. Where are my kids? I want my kids back. And even just being on camera saying this looks so bad. And at the same time, I need to, and I mean, for me to say out loud that.
Sorry, yes, I was muted. I was saying, you'll see in a bit how they all come around, talk. They end up discussing how people are uncomfortable on camera in a minute. And also that Greg is the most, he actually comes out at the end and says he doesn't believe she's guilty, but that he is the most, he scores her the lowest of all of the four. So it's interesting.
You know, anybody would be worried about how it looks to other people. Of course they'd be worried about how it looks to other people. And you want your kids back. There's so many conflicting things going on here. Anyway, that's my take on it. Scott, what do you got on this one?
All right. She talks about the three most important things to her in the world. And that's her children, herself, and them coming home and being home. She talks about home. That's the recurring thing that keeps showing up. So that suggests to me that that's what's on her mind, and that's all she's wanting to talk about. The thing with the ands might be the person asking the questions since she's not when we go somewhere, somebody starts asking, we don't have to say, here's what I'm going to ask, or here's where it's going to go, here's a list you need. We don't hear that. We just sit down and they can just not say anything, just go like that, and we'll start talking. But in this case, she might have said, well, I don't know what to say other than I miss him. And the reporter may have said, or the person may have said, well, you know, tell us about this, tell us about that, tell us about that. You know, what's bothering you? That may be part of that. So that might be why there's so many ands. But the first thing she says she does after she realizes they're gone is call 911. How many times have we seen people say, well, and it's been 3 or 4 hours before they called anybody, you know, and they're like, well, we wanted to make sure, and we looked everywhere, and it was after supper now. And then, you know, so it got dark, excuse me. So we finally called, and here's what's happening. Not her. She's like, oh, they're missing. Oh my God, they're missing. I'm going to call 911. We should call 911. So that to me says a lot there, that she was on top of it, coming right out of the gate. So for me, the qualifying she's doing, Greg, goes back to that what was going on. I think she's trying to tell exactly what was happening, maybe. So
I think she's telling a story. Whether that story is true or not, we can't tell.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you never know that. But so that's what that might be. But I'm not seeing.
Thank you, YouTuber. Thank you. That is so sweet. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. Whoever wins or gets the membership, thank YouTuber, please, in the chat. And that is a YouTube thing, not me. They choose. Thank you, YouTuber. That is very kind of you, and not the first time you've done that. Thank you. Hello, my dear. Hello, hello. Hello, how are you? Everybody coming in. We've got probably about another hour, maybe at most, 45, 50 minutes. And then so you may want to rewind, but this is very interesting. This is the behavior panel's analysis of Mom Malaya Brooks Murray's interview, and one and only interview.
Any cues of deception, anything where she's looks like she's hiding anything. So, and to me, it sounds like what a real mother would say and do if her children were missing. Although, I agree with you, Greg. That thing about and they were playing in the back, or they're playing outside, and we can't hear them. When she would go back in and qualify those, but not those
bears. They have bears. Just remember.
Oh, okay. But there's no that big story we get on the front end.
Rand, did you win it? Yay! That's awesome. Hello, Kim. How are you? Nice to see you, sweetie. How do you guys like this time? Is this time better than 5? Put yes, just yes, if you think this time's better than 5, and no if it's not, please. Let me know. Is this better than 5? Whispering wins, Donna. Thank you, sweetie. That's so sweet of you, Donna. Thank you, honey. Also, not the first time you've done that. So kind, ladies. Thank you. Lola one. Oh, nice. Okay. Well, there's another one up now. There's another one up. So, thank you. I wasn't fast enough. Thank you, ladies. That's very, very nice. And Kim too. Thank you. Yay. We're going to do a members live Saturday morning. Members live Saturday morning. I might. Yeah. Members live Saturday morning.
Like we hear sometimes, we have to sit through the whole show, even though we know from that first sentence where they go, like that woman who burned her house down and came in, she was in the gym. What was her name? Where she killed her husband?
Rebecca Fenton.
Rebecca Fenton. So anyway, there I was. I was in the house, exercising, listening to whatever songs I was listening to. All this, 5-minute build up to, hey man, what happened? Yeah. So there's no that. She gets right into it. So.
Oh, Tina, I'm sorry, honey. Okay. So I find it a little bit late myself, which is why I'm off screen. I'm tired. So probably that's good to know. I have to switch to 5 to 10 p.m. around July 11th. For what? For your modding the other channel? I don't know what that means, honey. Yes, thank you, everybody, for buying the gifts, membership gifts. Thank you.
Yeah, at this point, I don't feel like she's done anything. And I feel like she believes they're still alive. Like Mark said, there's a chance for them to come home. She believes that they still may be around.
Now, for those of you who are watching, do not judge. Hey, ChatGPT, I'm going to photograph my fridge.
All right, Chase, what do you got?
So I think one of the things we can attribute those multiple ands to is 6 weeks of children missing means she has rehashed those details and that timeline 5,000 times with investigators.
This is the next day or days later, Chase. Just
okay. Days later, she's done it dozens of times. Yep. 3 or 4 police officers, a couple of detectives walk through, and they do that on purpose, even though the detective will come in and be like, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to talk to Detective Flip Flop over here, but I want to go back through the process and kind of confirm the timeline. That's very common. And I think that may be one of the reasons that she's kind of developed a habituation of just kind of going through those key facts that she understood were relevant for the police officers. The second point here that speaks to what you were talking about, Mark, is that when people talk about the number one fear being public speaking, we always kind of see that on these things. We have no fear of public speaking. The fear is of judgment, of social judgment. But If you look at the actual hierarchy of that, your kids going missing is probably higher than that. That triggers more limbic system activity. So one of the first things I look for in any of these videos is the fear of judgment higher than the fear of missing children? And if it is, that means that the missing children, they either know what's happened or their children aren't missing. They were somehow involved in the children's disappearance. So they don't have that fear, which increases what we call performative behavior. And we are definitely not seeing performative behavior, lip licking, extra makeup, hair adjustments, all the things where she's trying to build rapport and shape the narrative and change how she's being perceived. We're not seeing that. So right here, we're seeing the fear of missing children higher than the natural fear of judgment. That's all I got.
Let me ask you this. What's your temperature right now?
101.
101. So you coughing a lot or just like going, ugh?
Just a little coughing.
Yeah.
Like every half hour, I'll do just an old big boy.
Make a scene.
Thanks for making it work. This is a sucky day to do it.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Oh, for the love of God. Joy, I agree. I'm not a big, huge fan of some of the storylines. I think he's changed, his storylines often enough to make him a little bit sus. So I agree. Krista. Lois, are you on tonight? I died laughing when I saw the comments after last night's live when I was like, y'all, listen, I give up. Those of you that have stuck with me know I'm like all over the place, up and down, this tarot, not tarot. Like, it's just been such a wild ride. I feel way better about everything now. Like, I definitely am committed. I want to do mainly tarot and members, but I'll do tarot on the main channel as well for everybody because I know y'all love that. But anyways, I was talking about yesterday, listen, because you never know if I'm coming or going to tarot one day, just kind of what I feel like. And so subscribe and click on the notification bell if you want to know what I'm up to. And Lois responded in big caps. Oh my God, laughing. And I thought it was so funny. Those of you that have been around with me since the beginning for the last year and a bit know, just never know what you're going to get. It's kind of a fun little magic carpet ride over here. So welcome in to everybody that's new. We're a great group. Do the notifications, click on the bell. And yeah, you know what? I don't feel bad about it. I want to be more consistent. You're going through the trauma. You went through the trauma with me real time is all I have to say. I'm feeling a lot less traumatized, like a box of chocolate. You never know. Annie. Oh my God, you guys crack me up. I love you all. Don't know if I'm gonna like this sweater or not today. But no, I do want to be more consistent because I just want to grow the channel. So I'm just glad you made a comeback. Aw, thank you, Ren. I don't think it was graceful, honey, but thank you for giving me the grace. I'll take it, but I wouldn't say graceful. I think you guys really watched me go through some pretty hard time healing, just up and down and very confused about what to do. So a woman is allowed to change her mind as often as she likes. It's true, YouTuber. We have the prerogative, don't we? We absolutely have the prerogative. So everybody new to the members, we're going to do a members live. I'm going to talk about thumbs up, please. Yes, I'm going to talk about, we're going to start doing the 30-day for sure, developing your intuition. But I first want to go through what I found, CIA documents on how they suggest, it's an 80-page study to learn to do astral travel. So we're going to talk about that first this weekend. It might take a couple of weekends to go through that. And I do want to show you another video that is amazing about a woman who worked with the FBI as a psychic. They studied her, the defense, national defense, the state and everything. She worked for the government, for the Defense Department. And it's a fascinating interview. Yeah, it's fascinating. So I thought we would just do all that, kind of wet our whistles, get really curious, and maybe give ourselves some goals, and then go into our 30 days, and then maybe go back and see if we can apply some of them and make it sort of like a 6-month project, if you will, you know? So that's kind of what I was thinking. Thank you, honey. Thank you, sweetie. And then my dad passing, that was not cool, but that's okay. Y'all want to hear a true story? I was such a mess. I still am a mess, but I was in such shock. I mixed up the obituary. My mom got involved and had a fit because I confused. Well, I just made a mistake with my uncle that is alive versus my dad's brother who is deceased. And yeah, I just really wasn't deliberate. I forgot a couple of people. I just was not in a good, like, I'm doing better now, but I was really in a lot more shock than I thought. Then I realized, like, it's wild. Homework, I love it. Yay! Okay, let's move on.
I'm glad we do this on Zoom.
So if anybody's wondering why an octave lower.
It's not a bender.
It's not been up all night.
So you want to hear the drama story? I literally confused the woman's name that I'd already spoken to at the funeral home and mentioned her by wrong name, and I'd already spoken to her and her name was in her email. That's how confused I was. I deliberately omitted my mother, but not my sister, but forgot my sister's boys, like nowhere to lie, and then switched my deceased uncle with my living uncle, which my daughter kind of laughed at. Like, it was not deliberate, but it was kind of karmic because it was my dad's brother. And when I texted him, called him, and emailed him to tell them of his brother's death, he didn't even call me back or text me back and said Jack to me, but he was emailing my daughter complaining that the family would think he was dead. So it wasn't funny, but it kind of was like karmic justice. I was like, it wasn't me, but was it my dad from above? I don't know. Was that dad's message? Like these people were all in an uproar all weekend on Canada Day because I didn't do a very good job with the obituary. And I was like, y'all haven't called him in 9 years or 8 years. So, you know, it was so typical for the drama in the family. So yes, to answer your question, I went back and it's like, I'm going to be the bigger person. And I didn't even tell you this. Oh yeah, I just might have told you. My mom, when my grandmother, her mother died years ago, mentioned one daughter that she had, not me. And so I thought I kind of thought it was a little funny that maybe the karmic hand was at play, because it was absolutely an accident on my part. And I went back and I added my mom and we made it all right. And we sent a new one in, and I called the funeral home right away because it was July 1st on the holiday. I found out, so I called right away yesterday morning and they took it down and we added everybody, and I did the right thing. A higher energy. I'm not going to lower to their standards. I'm going to be the bigger, better person. And we just included my mom and everything and just found the right wording and just, yeah. So, oh yeah, I know. I was literally getting worried. That my mom was going to like go down there to the funeral home, and she's just, yeah. But dad was cremated today. So, you know, she can't do much. You know, I was like, I know that could be, Joy. It could be. But the thing I find frustrating about that is they only ask them about murder, like, and death, not kidnapping. So that's just weird. Well, that's why I was kind of chuckling, not because I didn't do it deliberately. I was just out of, like, completely out of it. Like, I don't know how I drove to the hospital that night to see him. I was in shock. Like, I had barely slept for a week, barely eaten. I don't have air conditioning in this apartment. It was 43 degrees humidity, which is like 112 degrees Fahrenheit. For a few days, I hadn't eaten. I didn't have any food in my fridge because my fridge wasn't working. My dad's dying. I'm in the middle of a move. I was just like a complete cluster. Yeah. So I'm sorry, honey, Deborah. I'm so sorry about that. I'm so sorry to learn that. My heart goes out to you. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So my dad just passed a week ago Monday, and it's hard. And so yeah, it was not deliberate. Like I said, unless I forwarded the email to my kids and said, look, I didn't even call the funeral director by her right name. I was just so out of it. And so I felt horrible. but it was really innocent, and it didn't go in the newspaper. It wasn't printed. It was on the funeral home's website. So like they were looking for it. It didn't go in the local paper. As I told you, I tried to upload it on the local paper and it wouldn't upload. So I was like, Dad doesn't want it in the local paper. I know. Yeah. So, well, you know what? I have to tell you, Deborah, I don't know what there is left to do because the funeral home has taken care of so much for me. I don't really know. And the hospital never had a social worker call me, which they're supposed to this day. So yes, we're so sorry for your loss, Deborah. So sorry. Yes. It's hard. We're sending you prayers and hugs. So yeah, so that's what I was thinking. Bob was behind it. And then I was talking to my friend Jim, who I've talked to you about. Jim's got my dad's golf clubs, and my dad and Jim just absolutely loved each other. And Jim was paralyzed in an accident about the same time this happened to my dad. I told y'all, and he's wheelchair bound for life. And he's been fighting with the insurance over the ex-girlfriend that left him to die on the road. Like they're just, I don't want to get into insurance policies. I think you know enough. I don't need to give you the details. And he said, Liane, I like $21,000 landed in my bank account today out of nowhere. That was your dad, eh? He's like, that's your dad. And I was like, probably is, Dad. Probably was my dad. Like he's been fighting for months and just landed 21,000 in his account today. He's like, I have no idea where it came from, like what's going on. Oh, really, YouTuber? Even a week and a half later? That's kind of wild. But yeah, our healthcare system is no. So, but that's what my dad and I, we healed each other. You know, my dad got to see real love from me and my daughters. And, you know, he really helped me heal stuff from my mom. He is busy. He's already come in a couple times with me. As for Malaya, her whole statement is a lie of opinion. Look at that dump. And she tells us she's out with the kids all the time they play. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you puking at all?
Could be.
No. Okay, that's good.
This tiny cooling device beats expensive AC units and works even when the power.
I got to fix this StreamYard thing. It's very frustrating. Whoops.
How do we do this on Zoom?
So if anybody's wondering why my voice is an octave lower.
It's not a bender. It's a
half hour. I'll do not seeing that. So right here, we're seeing the fear of missing children higher than the natural fear of judgment. That's all I got.
Let me ask you this. What's your temperature right now?
101.
101. So you coughing a lot or just like going, ugh?
Just a little coughing.
Yeah.
Like every half hour, I'll do just an old big boy.
Make a scene.
You're making it work. This is a sucky day to do it.
Yeah. I'm glad we do this on Zoom.
So if anybody's wondering why my voice is an octave lower.
It's not a bender. It's a
it's not been up all night. Well, maybe you have. Are you puking at all?
No.
Okay, that's good.
I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home. What happened was we woke up. I heard them playing in the next room beside us.
Yes, Kaika, I got that. I did look at that. I don't get any energy off of that, but I'll pull it up. I'll try to see if I can pull it up again in a little bit. Hang on. We'll listen to the rest of this and we'll pull it up and see if we get energy. Don't let me forget off of it. There's another 26 minutes of this. I want to listen to this. I'm going to only stop twice and then we'll go and pull that up.
And I was drifting in and out of sleep, and they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. And they happened to just get out that sliding door and we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet. And we get up and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911. I just had the instinct I needed to call. They're both really go-lucky children. They're so sweet. They talk to anyone. They'll talk your ear off. They will speak to anyone in a store. Everyone. They're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate the huge search effort going on right now. But we've been pushing for an Amber Alert, which hasn't been issued, not just that they could possibly be abducted, which it is a possibility that they could have been, but just an alert to let everyone know that they are missing. We had people text me saying that they weren't aware, someone else let them know that they were missing, and it would just be nice if everyone could be alerted. We thought maybe that we found tracks, but it's still uncertain. It's been raining and they're probably soaking wet, but with the sun today, I'm hopeful that they are feeling warm. We're all filled with pain and sorrow because we just want them found. We want them home. Everyone loves them. They are definitely verbal, and they do have possible autism, but it's not extreme autism. It's just they have issues with school, and they don't catch up with the other kids. I just want to remain hopeful. But there's always, in a mother's mind, you're always thinking the worst. Last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds. And I don't want to go through that another night without them.
Should have worn your Hello Kitty shirt, Chase. That'd make you always wear that in your when you don't feel good. You should go get that.
Yeah, it's got a hole in it.
Okay. All right, Mark, what do you got?
Yeah. Okay. So first off, here we get a whole bunch of positive comments about the kids. Yeah, which is really great. Often what we see or hear.
So it's very interesting because I picked up on the last video where we showed Daniel Martel, I picked up a little bit of disconnect between Scott and Chase. And I was wondering what was going on there. I want you to listen to what Scott says to Chase coming up. I don't know what's going on, but I just picked up on the last video. I didn't say anything because it's not my business. But listen to what Scott says coming up.
Yeah, in cases where somebody has been responsible or knows something about the missing kids, is that they will put out some negative ideas about them, almost kind of with an edge of kind of victim blame on them. Well, here we do get, they'll talk your ear off, which we've had from other people who were involved actually in the disappearance, where they've gone, you know, these kids they make a lot of noise, you know. And then she says, they'll speak to anyone in a store, everyone. Now, we could construe that as going, okay, so like they get themselves into trouble by talking to strangers, like anybody, okay? I don't think that's what she's getting at here. I think in Nova Scotia, where she's from, the culture is you talk to everybody. Like in downtown Toronto, and this is Canada, like if I go around talking to everybody, like I'm going to get myself into trouble. In London, if I talk to anybody I see, I'm going to get myself into massive trouble, massive trouble. Tracy, when I first knew her in London, she's from Nova Scotia. Well, her family are from Nova Scotia, so she has some elements of that. She'd smile at people in the park and say hello and whatever. I'd be like, don't get involved. Don't get involved. And this was in London, you know, City of London. Don't get involved with anybody else. Just don't. We don't need that. So look, I think talk their ear off and talk to everyone, anyone. Those are both positives. They're good kids. They're good social Nova Scotian kids. Okay. I appreciate the effort, she says. Okay. So she says, and now there is a polite, gentle inference, I would say, that the police, the authorities, investigators could and should be doing more. But notice how polite it is. How politely she infers, like, get it together, tell everybody they're missing, come on, let's get this together. But she's being super polite about it. And you might go, why isn't she going, hey, come on, find my kids. Because it's Nova Scotia. Like you don't start shouting at the police. They're your next door neighbors. They're nice people. They're your aunts and your uncles, you know? So she is, in her way, asking for more help, which is important. Want them found, want them home. Everyone loves them. I mean, clear as day there. It's interesting she talks about the possible autism, slower at school, needing more help. I picked up from just articles that are coming through on my feed that this family had been visited earlier by child services. And there seems to be some speculation around that. Of course, my guess is speculation is around abuse. If you have kids that aren't doing well at school, the last place they will ever want to be is school, okay? So they will find every way possible not to go to school, okay? And if you're a parent, you'll probably, knowing that they're having trouble, you'll probably help them stay off school a little bit. And the first indicator that any social services should be looking for is there some abuse at home is why aren't they at school? But it doesn't mean that there's abuse involved. So it was interesting that she flagged that up. This is, by the way, if you see the movement, this is Peach down here. There's Peach. Some people have said, I don't think Peach exists. Yeah, of course Peach exists. Peach is
big star
down
during
there.
COVID.
Yeah, Peach is down there. and that is real emotion at the end there. I have an ability to put myself very to have low empathy, and so when I'm analyzing, I'll put myself at a very low empathetic level in order to just try and work out what is the behavior, not what are they causing me to feel. I felt empathy for her at the end, which likely means it's a real emotion happening there because I'm not able to cut it off very easily. Greg, what do you got on this one?
So let's talk about cadence. I'm not going to cover a lot of the same things, Mark, but what I will point out is you're right. When she's talking about positive, listen to her cadence, bam, 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 bam. When she starts to talk about things that are negative, like the children's difficulty in school, she navigates and she slows. When she talks about the Amber Alert, she slows. Good, because she's saying good things about these kids. If you're thinking about negative things like, my kids are dead or gone, and you're not thinking of the positives of the children, even if you're saying positive things, it probably would affect her cadence. So good. That's good to see a variation in cadence, I think.
So what I'm going to do, I've decided, I think there was questions that you guys asked. I'm exhausted. I haven't meditated. I'm really not in the frame of mind to pull cards and get any accuracy. So can you come back on our next live, which will be tomorrow, and remind me some of these questions, and I will pull cards because I don't have the energy today, and I really am too tired. Would not trust what I would pull as being accurate. I haven't meditated. No, I think we'll leave it for tomorrow. I'm sorry, everybody, but
I think she does pronoun shifts twice. Chase, I'm going to hand this to you because of pronouns. You're a big fan of pronouns too. So she says, we had people text me. Why? Don't know. It could simply be that that's a self-protective thing. It could be education. There's a ton of reasons, but I'll hand that off to Chase and let him talk about it next. And then there's another place where she uses the words we. Where did I see that one? We all want them back. We. She says I several times. She says we twice. So those are points that I would pay really close attention to and dig in a little bit and say, why is it we and I in different places? And the only thing in here that's negative to me that makes me want to poke a little bit, and it could be caused by emotion, it could be caused by her being overtaken by emotion and simply pausing, is there's a long pause for effect. At last night was one of the worst because I didn't have them in their beds. That's awkward. It is different from everything else in here. It could be because of feelings, but for just a minute, I'm going to say something I said to Sadie. Interrogator Greg is a lot less compassionate than regular Greg. Just think of this as an individual, as an interrogator. Sometimes we're aggressive, and it's brutal in the interrogation room, especially when you're looking for children. So we would be a lot more aggressive with things like that question.
And then they say that, and I'm thinking, my gosh, I hope the RCMP were aggressive when Janie said that she didn't want them to search her trailer.
I would be very aggressive with her and try to get to the bottom of it. Why did that change? I wouldn't ask her that outright. I would hammer her timeline, go back to those ands, because if you notice in this entire video, we don't hear that.
Ladies, listen up. The video.
Oh my gosh. I got to get StreamYard fixed. This is ridiculous.
Is gone. So that storytelling in the first one with and, I don't care if she's done it 10 times. It's awkward because it disappears when we get down here to these details. So she would have my undivided attention because she's changed to a more smooth, fluid delivery about the children. That's good. To a slow halting when it comes to their learning issues. That's good. To a negative in slow halting when she's talking about lack of Amber Alert. That's good. But there are two things in there. There's pronoun shifts and that pause for effect have me crawling all over her. And I said this to Sadie sometime we should cover the difference in how much compassion we have for people in this situation and when we're the guy in the room. And I want you to remember that when you're dealing with a police interrogator, they might be the nicest, best people you'll ever meet, but they've got a job and that's what they're after. Chase, what do you think about those we's?
Yeah, so I think there's definitely some pronoun shifts going on there. And the first thing, if you hear a pronoun shift in any statement, is you look for context. What is it around? Is it around simple things or is it around some specifics? And the thing that she's getting the pronoun shifts around is communication and like the teamsmanship that usually happens between parents. And I think what's going on there, what we saw in the last video is there's a dynamic shift between them where they're kind of like separating from each other. They're not talking to each other anymore. And I think this pronoun shift is just kind of residue from speaking as a couple to speaking as an individual about certain things. And I bet they were probably talking to each other a lot and getting text messages at the same time. And she's probably speaking in her old way of speaking when a relationship was active at some point. And her being visited by CPS, I got visited by CPS when my son was in the first grade. He had a shirt he refused to wash and he wore it for 5 days in a row. And I was like, yeah, go ahead. I don't care. You're in the first grade. but you will change your socks and underwear. So the next Monday, CPS actually came to the house. So I have probably some documented CPS visit. I just let them do it. I didn't care. But yeah, everything here is non-performative.
Thank you, Kim,
She's being nice
honey.
about
We
the
love
Amber
you
Alert
too.
because she needs resources from the police. So she's not trying to act angry and act mad. She needs resources and help, and she desires it. So it's not a performative thing where she's trying to talk about all this stuff. And maybe there's something in Canada where an Amber Alert means an abduction. I think it means missing child, not abduction.
Okay, I'm Canadian. The only Amber Alerts I've gotten are when they have a specific parent's name, car, and details around that of the person that took the child. So that's something that needs to change, because I've talked about this. I'm going to email Kelly again. I haven't had a chance to see if he'll come back on. I don't know. Maybe he just isn't interested, or he's too busy right now. But I do want to ask him about Amber Alerts, because I know I love Chase. I just think there's something that needs to change with the system here. There's too many kids that are going missing, and too many not being found, and we have to change. This has got to change. I don't care if you get a phone buzz every few minutes on your phone. So be it. That's how we're going to find kids. We need to get their faces out there. They used to be on milk crates way back when. We have to find a way. And I heard somebody, I think it was actually Belinda on It's a Crime and Shame, say that, why are the local stations not putting up all the missing kids in their area on their daily news? It should be something that we look at a lot more intently than we currently do. And it's time. It's time for child trafficking, pedophilia, selling your own kids. It's all of it. It's got to stop. And this not sending Amber Alerts out and what the criteria is bullshit. Call it a blue alert. I don't care. Give it a second name, find another alert, and get it done. Stop with the red tape bull crap. These are kids, and we need to get on this. Sorry, I had to go off my little rant there. Then I'm off my soapbox now. My apologies.
I think it's a missing kid, period. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe they were giving her some kind of BS about it. I have no idea. Scott, what do you got?
Yeah, and I agree about that, about the Amber Alert as well. When she wouldn't have brought that back up and said, we need to have that happen, she would have wanted it to go away. She wouldn't want anything to happen to help find the kids, or say, no, we can rule this out. And she doesn't bring up this. One thing she doesn't do is throw out those classics like they could have been abducted. They could, this could happen, that could happen. So many different things could happen. Like if you're
injecting ambiguity, I think.
Yeah. It's like in okay, let's go to interrogation. When you're dealing with somebody who's at a bank and there's a bunch of stuff, there's something missing, and they'll say, well, who all could get into the safe in there? How hard is it to get in? Oh, shoot, man, you can get in over here. You can do this. You can do that. There's so many people who could get in. Everybody get. And you talk to somebody who didn't do it, and they go, you can get in one way. You got the key. We all know where it is. And then you ask them, well, who do you think would have done this? It's Ken. Ken did it, and everybody goes, it's Ken. They'll all say that anyway. But we don't have that situation here. I don't know why my brain went to that. But so she doesn't throw all those things out. And then it's been raining there, and she's worried that they're soaking wet and that they're cold. And so she's hoping they're in stay alive mode, in other words. So she's worried about that. She's thinking personally for each one of them, the cold and it's rainy out there. Then she says, she goes, we thought we found tracks. So she sees herself as part of the effort to find them, part of that psychologically, part of that whole group of everybody working together. We don't see that when there was that one couple where the two little boys were missing, and they didn't talk like this at all, not even a little bit. They separate them. Oh, they're looking for this and they're trying that and they're going to do this and we're just here, sitting around. And we always go, why wouldn't you be out there stomping around looking too? How do you have time to sit in front of a TV camera and talk about these things and tell what you think? Why wouldn't you be out there too? You can tell this woman she's there, but she's not there because she's worried about those children. That's why she's looking away and looking down. She looks dazed a little bit to me. So I think I'm not seeing any kind of deception cues at all here. And I agree with you, Mark, there at the end. Man, I felt sorry for her. And again, like I always say, becoming an interrogator has enabled me to be I always knew I could be. And I can look at those things and go, nope, I don't care. But that got me too. You could just see it on her. I think that's
so 2 of 3 of these men are saying, Scott and Mark are saying they were emotionally impacted, they felt empathy, and that she legitimately is concerned about her kids. So this is what I've been saying. This is very contrary to what other channels are talking about. But so I'm happy to hear that these, in my opinion, are the 4 best body language experts in the world that I'm on track on this case.
The pain of the whole thing. So, anybody else? We good?
Yeah.
Started using.
Oh man, I gotta.
They're so sweet. They talk to anyone. They'll talk your ear off. They will speak to anyone in a store. Everyone. They're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate the huge search effort going on right now, but we've been pushing for an Amber Alert, which hasn't been issued. Not just that they could possibly be abducted, which it is a possibility that they could have been, but just an alert to let everyone know that they are missing. We had people text me saying that they weren't aware.
Okay, look at her. For the love of God, what happened here? Hold on.
We've been.
Hold on. Okay, look at this. So we were talking the other day about whether or not. Yeah, that's what I heard, Corinne Danielle. That's what was reported. How true that is, I don't know. But yeah, we were talking about whether that beach Instagram post was older, and people were saying no because her hair was short in that interview. But look, if you look closely, she's got it pulled up in a double bun, and it's actually, I do that when you got long hair. You tuck it in twice. So it's actually could be her at the beach. That is not significantly shorter. It's just it's pinned back. So it looks a lot shorter here than it actually is. So I just wanted to highlight that because there was some talk about it couldn't have been a new Instagram post. And I'm not shaming her for going to the beach. I listen, you've got to have a day out once in a while. We don't know what she's been doing every other day. Let's just assume that's the first day she left her place and hasn't been depressed. As her friend stated, let's just give her the benefit of the doubt. I think she has some possible guilty knowledge. I just don't think she's actually involved. And I think the guilty knowledge may have come after this interview, as is the case with Daniel. So yeah, I think that I don't think there's any shame in her taking a day off and trying to just get out of the house. You cannot go nuts if you just don't decompress and get out. And that look on her face does not look deceptive to me. It looks like someone legitimately concerned. I can feel the emotion, and they've all said it too. So I'm going to take their word for it. I really, really trust these guys, and very, very rarely do I feel like they are not. I don't feel they are right about something. So yeah, I think that beach thing, and her friend also replied in real time saying she barely left the house. This is the first day she was out. And so those also sort of coincided with the time frame of now and last week, rather, that she was out on the beach. And I think she should be allowed to have a day to live like a human, as should Daniel, until they're proven guilty. If they have any involvement, then they will be taken to trial, hopefully. At this point, though, hence the title, I'm getting concerned about the silence from the RCMP with no updates. I think the public deserve an update at this point. We hit the 2-month mark 2 days ago. We had no updates from them. They've clearly missed the mark. There is no way those kids are still in the bush. There's no way. And I think they need to come out and publicly state that they've ruled that out. Because if you want tips to continue to come in from the public and you want this to stay out in the public, you're going to need to reach out to the public and let them know that you need more tips. This is just my opinion. I think Jack and Lilly deserve it. I think we've got to keep their names out there, and I hope they come out soon with an update for us, in any way, shape, or form, that they're now starting to think it could have been nefarious. If you saw anything on that day, could you please come forward? Something to that effect. I don't know. They have their own reasons, I'm sure. And the RCMP, being Canadian in general, I would say, have an amazing reputation in this country. I just don't know how experienced the East Coast is. Much smaller staff. And I just would hope that they have the same caliber of training and experience that the rest of the RCMP do. And if so, then they're just not telling us, and they know more. But I still think they should come out and speak, because the silence is deafening. It's concerning. It feels like they're losing grips with the case. It feels to me at this point energetically like they really don't have a clue. And they're just shooting darts, and they need to start figuring out how to get this case solved and figure out what their theories are and what is not adding up. And they need to go back to square one, because it's 2 months. We need an update. These kids are clearly not in the back. There would have been birds circling carcasses. They need to come out and say something nefarious happened, and we need help getting the answers.
They weren't aware. Someone else let them know that they were missing, and it would just be nice if everyone could be alerted. We thought maybe that we found tracks, but it's still uncertain. It's been raining and they're probably soaking wet, but with the sun today, I'm hopeful that they are feeling warm. We're all filled with pain and sorrow because we just want them found. We want them home. Everyone loves them. They are definitely verbal, and they do have possible autism, but it's not extreme autism. It's just,
oh, Donna, I'm sorry,
they have
honey.
Issues.
I miss Donna saying goodbye. I'm sorry, Donna. I hope she feels better.
With school, and they don't catch up with the other kids. I just want to remain hopeful. But there's always,
I think they have, Lily.
In a
They
mother's
have.
mind, you're always thinking the worst. Last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds. And I don't want to go through that another night without them.
Prayers for Donna.
All right. This has been a fairly interesting one. Mark, what does it look like to you so far?
Yeah, I'm just going to pick up on one thing here that we heard before. It's this piece of I didn't have them in their beds. Greg, I think you picked up on this idea that there's a real difference in the way that she pronounces that. I didn't have them in their beds. I think that's about responsibility. That it's your responsibility as a parent to have them in bed at night. And if for whatever reason that hasn't happened, you feel, if you're a great parent, you feel responsible. I would say being a parent is, though you love your kids, it's more about responsibility than it's ever about love. I mean, you can love somebody and be totally irresponsible about the whole thing. You know, responsibility is a whole different level. What I get from this is there's a real dreadful feeling of responsibility that she has. At the same time as I want my kids back, there's this nagging feeling of responsibility that it's down to, it was up to her for them not to go missing. And there's that battle all the way through. That's where the tension is. If you see tension in this, if you see something that you're worried about in this, I think it's that, her managing the horror of her. She for whatever reason lost responsibility at some point, or wasn't responsible enough. Chase.
I said the same thing, and I also just want to add, as a coach, I picked up the same thing, and I said it. Like, I think she's feeling, guilt in some of the statement, in that statement, that was the energy was picking up for looking bad. And I want you to think, because as a coach, having been trained as a coach, there's a concept called projector projectee, which is, we're often shown behaviors and traits in other people that trigger us, because what that means is if it's triggering a response within me, it's because it's something within me that I have yet to resolve. So in other words, if somebody speaks really loudly, it reminds me of somebody I don't like. And so that still triggers me when my friend, who is a totally different personality, has nothing to do with the person I don't like, but every time they talk loud, it triggers that response from that person within me from the person I don't like. And that means that I have unresolved issues, which is why I'm being triggered. So now go back to what they've just said about Malaya feeling a lack of responsibility, and think about what she said, and we talked about just a couple of days ago, maybe even last night, that she thought Daniel only cared about his image and he was doing interviews to protect his image. That is an example of her being triggered by something unresolved within herself. They've just told you she's feeling irresponsible. She's feeling guilty. And so she wants to look better in the public eye as a mother than how she feels. She feels like people are going to judge her for being irresponsible. She feels guilt. And so would all of us. That's natural. But then go back to her statements. Daniel is more concerned about what he looks like in the public than he does looking for my kids. That's an example of the projector and the projectee. She's triggered by his behavior because it's the same resolved feeling within herself about herself as a mother. Does this make sense? So that's why I find her statements curious and interesting and totally in alignment from a coach perspective with what they're saying, with, you know, about her feeling guilt and how she's talking about Daniel. All he cares about is how he looks in the public. Yeah, she also feels like she probably in the public looks like a horrible person. She probably can't cope with how she looks like a horrible, irresponsible person. And that is exactly probably why, other than what I feel is she doesn't feel safe. She also feels like she cannot bear to face the public who are shaming and ridiculing and calling her irresponsible because she let those kids sleep. And she just can't even deal with coping with the public. That's my 2 cents.
What are your thoughts?
Which we've all done. You
Yeah,
know, we've all had a moment of neglect. We've all had a moment where, you know, something could have happened and didn't, and something did here. And I'm willing to bet she was in that bedroom the night before this was recorded, and she was probably sitting in there crying on the floor or just sitting in there. That's heavy. And that's probably hitting her. But what we don't see here that we see in a lot of the other ones is perception management and performance. We're not seeing her try to change how people are seeing her as a person. She is behind her eyes. Her awareness is way back behind her eyes this entire time. And when somebody's performative, they're all the way out here because they need to check in with everybody to make sure that everyone's buying their story. Everyone is buying what they're selling. And she is selling nothing to anybody.
About 22 days ago.
Yeah, so she's not selling a story.
Just look at how slim my.
That's their analysis.
Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you guys a little bit on this one because I'm middle of the road on this one, candidly. This one, because of the and that pattern, makes me really uncomfortable. I'll just say that. And remember, I took the approach, I'm looking at this like I'm going in to interrogate this woman. And so when I look at that and I hear that and, it feels a lot like a 911 call to me. It feels a lot like telling a story instead of saying, hey, here's what's going on. I do understand she's asking questions.
Let's do percentages real quick.
Yeah, let me finish this piece and let's do a percentage. So for me, I agree with everything you said, Mark. This Child Protective Services piece is a data point for me because if she's just told this story, she's going to have and in her mind because she needs to validate if something's happening, she's had to protect herself, for example. So I get it. That part could affect the story. But there's also responsibility on the part of us. And to your point about her feeling responsible, yes, on the side of the interrogation team, on the side of the guys who are doing the work, I would have the responsibility to say, there's an anomaly. I want to know why. I'm not saying she did anything. I'm saying this would get the worst of me because I would tear every detail of the story apart looking for any deviation. And I do think these people live kind of a marginal life. If you saw their place, it reminds me a little bit of Don and Candace. The house is in shambles, that kind of thing. So they probably are accustomed to having to accommodate reasons why things occur because everybody knows if people make excuses for why things are the way they are when they can't control them. When you're marginalized, that's the case. So I'll give her the benefit of a doubt there, but say if I were interrogating, I would take that story to pieces. I would just go after the story there because it is not fluid like the second part of the story is fluid, which makes me very uncomfortable. I'd say if I were going in, Chase, with a 60-40, I'd say 60% I don't trust her, 40% I do. How's that?
I was going to say, what is our percentage for each one of us that this was not, that the disappearance of these children was not a willful act?
You mean something these people caused in some way?
Right. Willfully.
Thought out. Not an accidental situation.
Right.
Yeah. Well, accidental goes a lot of ways. I'll leave it at that. I will say, in terms of thought out, masterminded, some plan to get rid of, I have zero doubt in that something, whatever happened, was not planned out.
Yeah. I'd go the same.
Okay, so not pre-planned. So accident, covering up.
At zero.
Yeah, planned out. Could they be part of it? Different story, different equation entirely. Because you feel grief if you cause the death of your own child, for sure.
But what bugs me about this, when little kids get up, they want to eat. They're not going to be outside goofing around. They're going to be coming in there going, hey, what's going on? Why isn't she up already? You know what I mean? We need to eat. That's the first thing you do in that the protocol of the day for kids is they want to eat.
I don't usually do this, but since you're bringing it up, if I live in a place with bears and I got a silent door in my house, I'm going to fix that. Number one. Number two, nothing looks silent in their house. There's a whole lot of story holes that I wasn't touching that I would say, okay, hold on. But look, I live in the woods. If I had a child here, every door I have would have a childproof lock because we don't have bears. But what we do have is woods and creeks and rivers and all that kind of thing. So forget Forget all that. I was just trying to give her the benefit of the doubt on the story and say, I'm not thinking that she came up with some idea. Might not even be the kids are gone in the, that they're still living and gone. Who knows what the story is? I'm just telling you that with this short 2-minute video that we just watched, 2.5 minutes, it's difficult to know because she's not challenged on any of the questions, my opinion.
Okay, okay, well, here's what I think. I really like this one because I think we're seeing true emotion, and we're seeing somebody who hasn't sat for a long time and structured the story and say, I've got to do this, I've got to say this. And I'm like you're saying, Chase is non-performative. Like you're saying, Mark, it's true emotions coming out. So I think we're seeing real emotion. I think she's really upset about that. Now, having said that, like we're talking about, whether it's her fault or his fault, I think she would. The thing is, here's what I learned is she hasn't talked to this guy, Daniel Martel, since all this happened. They haven't talked. She has shunned him, in other words. Won't take his calls, won't text him back, nothing. So maybe she thinks there's something going on that he caused it or didn't care enough or something like that. That's the thing that gives me pause to say something might be up here with this. And
that's my theory, isn't it?
Another thing I want to talk about is Chase and I are now enemies, but Mark.
So Chase and I are now enemies. So it was made to be meant as a joke, I would have thought, but nobody is smiling. Look at I paused it exactly at the end of that. I told you at the beginning of this that watching this, I felt I was a coach. I coach teams. I'm used to energy. I picked up that there was, in the last video we watched, where they were interviewing Daniel, a disconnect between Scott and Chase. And as a coach, God, I know they're probably not listening, but I would hope that whatever was said or done between them, that they repair this, because Scott clearly wants to restore this with Chase. I think he's done something to upset Chase, and I hope they fix it. Yeah.
What I'd like to do is, Chase, let's me and you team up and be a team together and add Mark to our team. And since Greg went against all of us, let's get rid of him. Let's kick him out of this thing. Let's team up and we'll be friends. And then get rid of Greg.
We'll have a 3/3 majority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's meant to be a joke, but I think there was still some tension. Just my thoughts.
I bet, Greg. Now, who do you agree with? So, but doesn't that make sense though? I mean, if she's getting rid of that guy.
Well, no, look, if she thought he did something, she'd probably throw him under the bus. Mothers have a lot of mothers have an instinct to say, that guy's a scumbag and I want him in prison, and here's why.
Well, and also remember, the number one thing that is most likely to happen when you lose a child in any way is that you will break up.
That's correct. Something like 2/3 of people, if I remember my numbers right, who lose a child split. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Pray for those kids.
Yeah. Sure. These are babies, man. For sure.
I didn't know that. That's an interesting statistic. Pray for those kids. Wow. So you're back now, honey. I'm going to show you, show the pictures that you sent me. I'll go just look at a couple of comments. I'm going to show you the pictures. So all in all, their analysis, I think, is better of her than Daniel, slightly. I think they kind of think that there's some guilty knowledge, but there's not a premeditated plan, and they feel her empathy. And so, it's more in line with the way the police are behaving towards them, which makes sense. If the police were picking up the same sense from them, and they said the kids were out back, then that's why the police focused out back at the beginning, because they truly believed their theory, or the parents thinking that they were out back. And then they look out back, and they can't find the kids. And then they bring in the polygraphs and they start questioning everybody. Perhaps why that came 2 or 3 weeks into it, because at this point they're like, well, they can't be telling the truth, because by the love of God, surely we would have found these kids by now, with dogs and all the searchers. And again, not to be gross, but bodies decaying in the bush attracts animals. So I'm just wondering if the police analysis was exactly this is what I thought at the beginning, that the police actually believe the parents. And that's what I've said from the get-go. Suspect in that I think they're withholding some facts, but I do not think they're directly involved. And I've said that from the get-go. Now, the behavior panel is essentially saying the same about both the interviews, not direct planning, at least, unless it was an accident and it's being covered up, or there's no knowledge. Like they're borderline. So I'm just wondering if that's what happened with the police investigation here. Hence why, oh, I just lost the picture by mistake. Hence why no search warrants earlier on. No, just thinking out loud. Okay. So Kaika sent me these pictures because I have said my theory about a mechanic. And I can't, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm too tired. I'm not getting anything right now. And that's just, so this is a picture you said just down the road. Do you know whose family member this is, or are they related? Oh, I'm kind of getting something here now, energy wise. Now that I zoom in. Interesting. Interesting. I don't know what I'm getting though. I just felt something there, but I don't know. Hang on. I'm feeling very dizzy. When I look at this picture, I feel woozy. I feel dizzy. I feel somewhat semi-conscious. I feel like someone's maybe drugged me. I feel woo-woo. I feel like I'm going to pass out. Oh, yeah. Wow, I am really tapping into the energy right now. I don't know whose energy this is. Whoa. I feel like I'm spinning, like I've been on a ride, like I'm, when you're dizzy, you're spinning. Wow. I feel like someone has drugged me. Oh, surprise, surprise. I didn't think I was going to pick up any energy, and I'm really feeling nauseous. Is anybody else getting anything? Oh, zoom in on the windows and the doors. I can't zoom it in any more than that. I'll come back in tomorrow and take a picture of this. Oh, there we go. That's as much as I can get it to come in. I feel sick. I feel like I feel nauseous. The SUV in the back bay. Oh, thank you. I didn't even think of it. The black. Oh my God. Oh my God, honey. I do. I feel very sick. I feel really sick. Whew. Yeah, I know, honey. That's what I'm wondering, Ren. Okay, I'm gonna meditate on this, and we'll pull this up again tomorrow. I'm gonna be live tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm gonna do a Koberger reading, a tarot reading only, not live, a premiere on why he did it, what his motive was. And then we're going to do the live. We're gonna pick up this with Jack and Lilly. This, and I'm gonna probably do a separate Sebastian reading. And then the Panini there. That Panini girl I want to do with Jack and Lilly during the live. Did she fake her own kidnapping? So live will be Panini, Jack and Lilly. And then I'm going to do 2 videos, Sebastian and Koberger, separately. If I don't do Sebastian, it's because I'll do Sebastian as a live sometime on the weekend. But yeah, whoops, wrong. Take this down now since we're not watching them. Thank you, Kaika. I don't know, but I'm definitely picking up some energy here. There, hang on. I'm feeling like I'm in a panic. Like I've been running, like I'm running scared, like I'm like I feel dizzy, like I'm spinning, like my head is light. I can't get my bearings. I'm having a hard time breathing. I'm having a hard time breathing. I feel like my chest is all congested. I don't even know whose energy I'm picking up on. Whew. Let's see if I can get that out. I think it's Lily. I feel like it's maybe Lily. I got a headache now. Yes, thank you, Dakaika. You're welcome. We lost a few people who aren't into this. We were at 100. We're at 83 now. Sorry, everybody. I think that's why I'm gonna try not to. I'm gonna try to separate the lives first, like tarot only, and I don't know. We'll see. Because these people that were coming in were not expecting me to go all psychic on them here. I guess I should forewarn people is maybe what I can do, just to forewarn people so I don't freak people out. Yeah, I feel very woozy. I do. I'm going to come back tomorrow with this. We're going to go into this tomorrow on the live. I don't know what time yet. It might have to be 3 o'clock if I'm babysitting my grandson. So I'm sorry. My daughter's just texting me. I haven't even gotten an update from her or looked at it yet. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Do all the YouTube things. It's 2 hours and 22 minutes, going on 23 minutes. So look out for Koberger, if why he did it, what the motivation was, tarot reading. And if I do Sebastian, thanks, Ren. I wasn't planning on it. And I'm so tired. I was not planning on picking anything up. So I want to meditate tomorrow, do some tarot tomorrow with Jack and Lilly. Let's see what this is. Let's see if we can locate them, pick up where the police are. And I also want to do the Panini case. And then if I don't do Sebastian, Koberger will be just a video. And it's because I want to do Sebastian live on the weekend. Okay, everybody. Thank you for being here. Have a good night. Love and light, everybody. Prayers for Jack and Lilly. Let's get these kids home. Thank you. Thanks again for being here.